So we just got a house here, and I'm about to meet up and find out how long it took to get it rented out. This is the first of a couple homes I think that we're going to be looking at, as we're really doing this research on how long does it take to get a house rented out, when should you freak out, how should you freak out, and if you shouldn't freak out, why shouldn't you, and how do you keep yourself from freaking out? And you see, I buy houses from don't wanters. Freak out. Hey, you guys, how you doing? Do you have permission to freaking lose it? Do you have permission to pull your hair out? You might actually self-select out of the game that was designed to make you millions of dollars. All right, check it out. This is the house that we're about to go see. I bought this house in Florida with my partner, found me on YouTube. We've actually now bought 3 homes together, and this home that we've just finished getting rented out is right over here. You can see in the driveway that there's a truck and there's a white car. And here's what I want you to understand. It took 6 weeks to get this house rented out, and my partner did not freak out once. I'm out here in Florida, and I thought I would just show you our beautiful home right here in the back that we own that got rented out back in October, November. Just wanted to let you know that I'm just out here doing an audit, checking things out, and home is rented, doing really well, being super well taken care of. And we're out here crushing it, my friends. So I just want to drop you a quick line and say hi.
Great, thanks. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, can I ask you a question? On the 3 homes that you own, how does it feel partnering together? Has it been a good experience?
Oh, definitely. I mean, definitely. Being a passive investor, great. Like I said, when I first started, I went nothing to do with real estate. And now I'm actually right here where we came to a wholesale breakfast, because now we're trying to learn more about real estate, and I mean, trying to get into it now. So it's been great.
Dude, I love it.
Making money, just send it that way.
I love it. That's awesome, you guys. I'm just here with the rest of the YouTube watching this right now, and just sharing them our experience on this house. And so glad that you guys are so happy and thrilled. I'm excited for our plans on how we're going to go forward and buy a lot more.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Thank you very much.
One, because I actually took the time at my live event with him. He came in town and trained him on how to think like a millionaire. Because without that kind of training, here's what typically happens. He didn't just buy 1 house, he bought 3 houses. And if at any given moment, if all 3 of these houses were not rented out, how do you think the typical person would behave? They would freaking freak out, because that's a lot of money to feel like you're losing. And there's some reasons why he's not. Here's the first one. When I buy a house, I always set up what's called a SWAN account. It stands for a Sleep Well at Night account. And what that means is I know what our typical vacancies are. I know what our typical repairs are. In fact, for the first 10 years of ever owning a property, I know what the average expected is. And what I do is I create a special account called a SWAN account. It's the Peace Sleep Well at Night account, and then we overload that account. Typically when we buy a property, we put an extra $10,000 in the bank account. On the second property, we add $5,000 more. On the third property, $5,000 more. So my partner Pedro put about $20,000 in the Sleep Well at Night account. And because of when we bought this home, let me ask you, do you think homes rent faster or slower in the winter? They rent slower. So even though it's an average of 29 days in this district for me to rent a property, it actually took 6 weeks for this home to rent out. And Pedro didn't freak out once because he had the training, 2, because he had the Sleep Well at Night account. And here's the big lesson that I want you to get and understand from today. Winning and making millions of dollars in real estate will always be a mindset. And when you watch this and you subscribe and watch my videos and say, Kris, why is it that some people become mega millionaires and some people never do anything? The difference is not knowing how to make money. It's how you feel about what you're doing while you're making money. You see, this home, it could have taken 4 months to rent. Statistically, that would have been 1 in 100 homes. This home also could rent in 1 day, which is also about 1 in 100 homes. On average in this district, it's 29 days. And the bottom line is, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. We put enough money in the bank account so that whether it takes 3 months or 1 month, we don't care, because we're prepared either way. It's a numbers game and it's a function of statistics. But it's also a function of one more thing. It's a function of team. And by team, I'm talking about property managers. In this area, my property managers don't charge me 10% like they would charge you. And I bring them 500 deals and they don't just charge me 8%, they only charge me 6%. And they crush it. They do an amazing job taking my homes that I buy and getting them rented out fast. And so I want you to understand that how we win is also because of this thing called leverage. I'm not just buying one house, I am buying 500 homes that I'm giving them. And as a result, I get a high degree of respect from them in the form of, let's show up. When Kris picks up the phone, when Kris's team shows up, we drop everything and we make it happen. And so those are some of the secrets that I have for why we don't freak out. But what about worst case scenario, you say? Let's talk about worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is you buy a house and that home doesn't rent for several months. At that point, do you have permission to freak out? Do you have permission to freaking lose it? Do you have permission to pull your hair out? Do you have permission to say, I'm sick of this, I'm done with this? That's how you create a don't wanter. And you see, I buy houses from don't wanters because they weren't mentally prepared and they decided that at some point it was broken. You get what you look for in life. If you're afraid this thing will break, then you'll look for evidence that it's broken. So even if it hasn't rented in the first week, you can actually start freaking out and getting nervous. That energy, I believe, matters. And it matters in a number of ways. One, I believe that good energy helps things move smooth through life, and I believe that bad energy is friction, and it rocks the boat. And if you create friction by a poor attitude or by negativity or anything like that, then the worst thing that can possibly happen is you becoming a don't wanter. It's you actually breaking what is designed to work beautifully. It's you breaking what is designed to make you a lot of money. And that can't happen anymore because you got in the way and you destroyed the possibility of greater wealth. Let me tell you from experience where I know about this. I own not a few houses, right? I mean, I own lots of houses. And here's what I can tell you about that. That in the process of owning a lot of real estate, I know firsthand what it's like to own real estate that doesn't pan out. I know what it's like to lose money on a deal, and I also know what it's like to hold on to a property while it takes 6 months to rent out. And if you let that get under your skin, and if you let that bother you, it can ruin you from the game that has made me millions of dollars. I'll never forget how this felt on one of my very first properties. It was actually my second property, and it took me about 4 months to get rented at one point in the process. And I got nervous and I got bothered by it. But years later, when I sold that property and made $130,000+, I realized that the $4,000 in lost rent, which by the way, the cash flow made up for, I learned at the end of the day that that $4,000 was an expense in a business that made me $135,000 net. From that moment forward, I decided to stop having a bad energy or a bad attitude or see things as good or bad. It rented fast good, it rented slow bad. If you label things good and bad in the game of real estate, then if you get enough bad things happening, you might actually self-select out of the game that was designed to make you millions of dollars. Don't do that. Hey friend, thank you so much for watching today's video. I got a couple of gifts for you. First of all, if you're not a subscriber, please do that. But in addition, I want to give you a couple of things. First of all, I wrote a book about an approach to rentals that was 2 times more profitable than just doing straight rentals. It's called a lease option. And when I buy real estate in my backyard, that's how I recommend that beginners start out. I wrote a book about it, and that book is free for you. Plus, the next recommended video coming up here is actually a free mini course all about what it is, how a lease option works, and why it's more than double as profitable of doing a straight rental. So enjoy that video, get my book for free, just cover the shipping and handling on it, and other than that, my friend, go out there and crush it in real estate.